Thank you, everybody. We're going to get started in just a couple seconds here. I'd like to give just about 30 to 60 seconds after the top of the hour to make sure everybody can get in. Okay, it is 9:01 on the West Coast here in Oregon. And so we're going to go ahead and get started. Welcome, everyone. This week, we are talking about the 2026 R3 release. We're going to start out talking about the accounting enhancements, and then we'll move into the construction enhancements, and I'll add in a few little extra add-ons for some of our client base. Now, when I create these webinars, I don't have time to cover every single thing in an hour. An hour really isn't very long in the big scheme of things. So what we do is we grab out the most important subjects to our customer base, which is you guys. So these are the things that I picked for today. And then I'll do a live demo at the end. And we'll have time for questions too. If we don't have time for questions, or you didn't have a minute to ask that question, just reach out to support. Today for the core accounting, which we're going to start out with, then we'll move into construction, is we're going to talk about some of the Sage AI and automation features and enhancements that are coming out, which is really exciting because it is creating a lot of additional time for us to attend other things when we start incorporating these AI models and automations. AP and purchasing, then we'll move into AR and order entry. There's a couple things about reporting I'm pretty excited about, cash management, fixed assets. And this fixed assets is the Sage Fixed Assets Management, SFAM. That's what we're trying to get everybody to. If you're on the old SIG, fixed assets for Sage, remember, this is for the newer one that's in the interface now. And I do think that they're trying to migrate a lot of you guys over to the new one. It's pretty great feature, a great add-on. And it can handle quite a few assets, unlike our experience previously. Then we'll move into company and administrator type system, Sage Intacct enhancements, and then into user experience. And there's a couple things about taxes, which is pretty exciting. After we get through with the accounting agenda, we'll move into these three features. There's also a little thing about WIP enhancement too. These will come after. We're going to talk about the subcontractor payment application workflow is on early adopter. If you are new to the Sage ecosystem and you're not familiar with what an early adopter is, just reach out to Sage, to Ethos support. I'll give you that information at the end of this slide deck. And we are happy to get you signed on to that early adopter program. And the understanding is with these early adopter programs, it's kind of like being a beta tester for us, right? So you have to understand that there could be things that aren't perfect. And so that's the idea about the behind the early adopter program, to get people using it. Sage Dev wants to get your feedback, that type of thing. Then automated retainage holding on primary documents. They just keep bringing us great stuff about retainage. It's getting easier and easier, which is fantastic. Then last but not least, something that I'm very excited for is the enhanced project contract billing workflow. They're making that easier and easier all the time for us too. All right, guys, let's go ahead and jump in. Let's talk about the Sage AI and automation. This is a pretty cool feature that they have rolled out with the AP and PO automation, right? So what this feature is that we configure it for you. It is a additional subscription. I think it's very reasonably priced. I stay away from sales. I'm not a salesperson, I'm a consultant. So, but people love it. And what it does is it provides you an email that your clients can email in their bills, right? And it automatically shows up in your system, and then you post them from there. So this is going to identify some of those anomalies earlier. So it's going to detect unusual amounts and unrecognized vendor email addresses before payment processing. This is what we call LLM, large language model Okay. This is what you're going to hear a lot in the AI world now. The large language model, you can think of it like the brain on the back end of AI. You teach it over time, right? So if there's any anomalies, what happens is the system just emails you and you say yay or nay, and you teach the system about that transaction, right? So that's how it is incredibly accurate. It's, it's a way more accurate than any human could ever be. So also, that's going to strengthen your fraud controls, block those suspicious email addresses if that's something that you've had challenges with before. And again, these custom list views, right? This one, you do need to add a custom list view. You do that over here with the manage view. Do the drop down, add new view. And it's really easy. It kind of handholds you through the steps of what you're doing, and you're adding this anomaly column to get it to show. You'll come over here to this all drop down and you'll see your new view. You just select that view. One thing that is way underused, I see too with this, is you can use these list views, create a custom view, and add it as a report onto a dashboard. You can export it too. So just remember, there's so many pieces of the system that I oftentimes see clients are not taking advantage of that would make your life a lot easier. But again, so all those anomalies will appear in that column. Okay, when you guys logged in this last week, you probably noticed that the interface is looking a little bit different up here. And this is the Sage Intacct AI intelligence AI agent, intelligence agent. So up here in the help menu, when you hit this drop down before the release, you saw that you had a Sage Copilot option. You come in, you just ask it questions, right? And so this has been a great help. You can come in and use it like an assistant, whereas the help menu, you're basically going in there and you're searching by keywords, right? You could come in and say, give me the steps, those types of things. And this is going to work a little bit differently, where you are going to give it prompts. And if you guys have worked with any AI assistants yet, you'll know that that's how they work. This prompt library down here is available to help you learn how to start creating those prompts. And what you can do is just use this in your everyday workflow. So you can say list bills with overdue status. Those bills pop up here and you click on the hyperlink and it takes you right into the system where you need to go, versus going through the menu. Okay, so where we, like, again, it's like what I've said, what I've noticed is that people are using this for their daily workflow now. It's going to give you that centralized agent discovery, so simplified agent management, centralized governance, transparent AI experiences, and flexible multi-company deployment. So if you are interested in this, it is on early release now. But it will eventually go to general release, where there will be some type of a charge for it. So far, they haven't told us what that would be. I heard it's going to be real cheap. So, but at the end of the day, it might be fun to play with. And get that turned on into your interface. The one thing about this is you do need an AWS, an Amazon Web Services license subscription. I wasn't able to pull the detail down on this about how we get that, but I do know that our sales team here at Ethos is, diving into that. So they're getting all the information together on that. Sage hasn't given us the SKU for that yet, but pretty cool feature. This is an example of the dashboard that you're going to see. Okay, so you can see it's really nice, right? You can come in, everything's, drill down into it and run it like a report. This is what it would look like, right? I put an additional link down here. I'll show you how to get to this link down at the live demo, where you can see additional release notes about this. All right, AP and purchasing. A lot of heavy hitters on our customer base out there doing purchasing and AP. And you are now able to go in there and update any of those email addresses that you're using for your purchasing communications. So before we were kind of locked into one single email, but now you can customize sender and reply to emails. That's nice. And you're able to do that throughout the system too, on the order entry and AR side. Also, another thing is anybody who might be using the old prepaid expense amortization, right? Look at this new interface. We know anybody who's been using the old PEA, it has that old kind of blue interface from the old days, and now they are bringing it into Sage Intacct as part of the interface, and it looks really nice, super user-friendly. Oh, this one over, and that's for this side. Over here, the bills. This is something everybody's been wanting. Post multiple bills at the same time. Hallelujah, right? We can go in. You now have a select all checkbox up here, guys, so you can post those, excuse me, all at the same time. Okay, moving into accounts receivable and order entry, same thing. Thank you, Sage. Post multiple invoices and adjustments at the same time. So that is a big lifesaver. We really appreciate that enhancement. Enhancements to inter-entity bill back, right? If you're wondering what bill back is with your inter-entity, you're probably not using it. It is a there's a configuration and whatnot for it, but if that falls on your lap that you're using that, it now supports entity level transactions, right? Our best practice recommendation is always to work at top level, but we know that many of you are very unique in the way that you run. Your entities might be completely diverse, right? Completely different from each other. So you might have 10 entities, but you have one that you're working directly in that entity level. So they're starting to give us a lot more flexibility on that. And again, customizing those sender and reply to emails for the AR invoices and statements. So if you need help with that, just reach out to support. We're happy to log in and help you get that configured and show you where those settings are so you can do that yourself in the future. We love to make you self-sufficient. All right, reporting. This is for financial reporting account groups, okay? So this is for those of you that are starting to delve into writing reports. You know that everything is dependent on these account groups and these computations and these calculations and these reporting periods, okay? So when you select one of the following reporting periods, you can now use the prior period for comparison by selecting the period and the compare to field right here marked off in purple for you. Now remember what we have, this is versus what we used to have to do, right? Was make a multi-step computation for a multi-step computational account group. That's a mouthful. But so before we would have to go in and create computations and things like that to get to where we need to be. But this opens the door for a lot more flexibility now, which is really nice without having to do all those additional steps. So they are making it easier and easier for us to create these things, these performance cards. If you have dashboards out there, and I hope you do, because if you're not using your dashboards in Sage Intacct, you really should be. It is all live time, one click, ready to go, whatever reporting you want. These performance cards are created based on account groups and comparisons, right? Like as you can see here. So it's always ticking. You can add these cute little icons to it, happy face, thumbs up, an arrow, going to tell you where you're at. Now, what it's saying here, some of you might be saying, why does one say these top three say current, these three say fiscal? Because some of you are not on the regular calendar year, right? If you are not on a regular calendar year, you're on a fiscal year, and that fiscal year does require custom reporting periods. We typically go in and pre-name them fiscal. So whenever you're creating these reports and these account groups, that you need to be selecting your fiscal reporting periods, okay? Otherwise, your numbers are not going to add up, guys. cash management. Now, this enhancement, I have yet to see anybody using it. So it's something that I was going to work on over the next 2 weeks in my demo and really start testing it out to see. It is early adopter. It's called cash intelligence. Okay. So before they were calling it cash requirements. And it's, giving you that ability to send automatic payment reminders directly from the cash intelligence page. So it's another automation. It's another kind of, I wouldn't say it's AI, but it's in that realm of automation, right? So these reminders include a secure pay now link for customers, right? So this works on the AR side, right? AR, customer payment services, on early adopter. Cash intelligence works with this subscription. So that reminder that you're sending out has a pay now link for customers on the customer side, right? How awesome is that? And then they can submit their payments instantly. And then that way that eliminates an extra step for you guys, right? And then you get that money in your pocket a little bit quicker, which we always like. Increased precision and display of reconciliation information. To ensure clarity, we've changed the way we display information about accounts last reconciliation. And you're going to notice those changes in the reconciliation pop-up window. So I'm sure you guys should have all been through at least your first reconciliation by now, but if you guys haven't gotten there yet, what we're talking about is when you go into reconcile, there's a little pop-up window, and that's where you grab that import from, right? Remember that import window that pops up, and then you have to say continue. That's what it's referring to. And then the reconcile bank account or reconcile credit card account pages as well. So when you guys logged in, y'all probably noticed that the interface looks a little bit different. It's been a while since they've actually done anything with the interface, so it's kind of exciting. I really love when they roll out these updates because they don't roll it out in a way where you're like, I don't know where to go. I don't know what to do. It's never like that. They're very thoughtful and methodical about how they roll these out, so nobody is in that position of not knowing how to use the interface, just like enhanced list view, right? You guys have seen that link for your enhanced list view. Eventually, we're going to be on that enhanced list view fully, but it's been, 3 years that they've been easing us into it. So just expect that experience. They keep it pretty good for us. Okay, updated global navigation features. First one here, upper left-hand corner, you'll notice this cute little box. If you're using SCM or any of our add-ons, right? I do believe Sage Intacct Real Estate. That's been a lot of clients are starting to take on the real estate part of the construction as well. So all of those little icons will pop up here for you. The Intact Financials link here, then your name like you've seen before, and the Copilot, which I just showed you that, right? That's if you have that Copilot financial assistant, and then that's separate from here. Now, help is going to be over here now, okay? So when you're going to upper right-hand corner to find help, just hit that icon and your help will pop up. These are just announcements, so pretty industry standard on those, okay? If you need any help or have any questions about any of that, just let us know. Permissions always override. So let's say if somebody had access to Sage Construction Management, but they don't have a login for it, they can't get in, right? So no worries on that. Email verification for user accounts. Keep Sage Intacct user accounts and email secure and up to date. Intacct now verifies new or updated email addresses and periodically asks users to confirm that your email address is still valid. I got this the other day and I was like, hey, what's going on here? So don't be surprised if the system just says, hey, we want to verify your email. That will probably take some people by surprise and say, why is it doing this? That's part of the new enhancement. More imported templates available in Sage Intacct. the new import service, right? Before we would just go to do our imports and they're always all CSV files. But you notice when you go to company import data, that in the upper left-hand corner of all those lists of all the templates that are out there, there's the new import service link. And there's only been slowly releasing some of those import templates over there. What's the benefit of the new import service? The benefit is that it will import additional file types. So XLS files, things like that. It's super user friendly. Also, chart of accounts changes and things that we didn't have access for. So there's just a lot going on in there that's going to really make everything really streamlined, easier to use, and give us additional functionality for our imports. So the new ones, we have AP adjustments, users, employee expenses, project resources, and cost code resources, or task per, whatever verbiage you're using. Most people are using cost code, but so it's always nice to be able to cut and paste into those XLS sheets and then create an import template from that, right? So, and importing is really become very much part of people's regular daily workflow because they just find that it's easier. Like estimates, right? You can import your estimates, your project contracts. I see people on the regular using the imports instead, okay? Especially when you're using multiple systems that aren't linking. Here's our Sage Fixed Assets, the SFAM, Sage Fixed Assets Management is what we're referring to, not SIG. They're adding so much more enhancements to this. It's been really making a lot of people happy out there. So reverse asset disposals, you can now reverse full and partial asset disposals in fixed assets. Reversing a disposal creates an offsetting journal entry, restores the asset and related depreciation information to its state before the disposal, which is so nice. It's going to do everything on the back end for you, moving it in and out. And this helps you correct disposal errors while preserving posted account activity. Previously, you can only revert disposals, which deleted the original journal entry. And in some regions, there's different things going on. Most of you are all in the United States and North America, so we don't have to worry too much about what the other regions are doing, but just in case. So, okay, this is an example of what it looks like in the interface. We also have revert, summarize depreciation postings, and add dimensions and additional fields to the roll forward report. So now when you run that roll forward report, you're going to notice that it's going to say, hey, what additional fields and dimensions do you want to see, right? If you're using our reports in Sage Intacct, this little screen is familiar to you, right? Like when you have to select additional dimensions and things, just hit the add or edit. It's very user friendly. Okay. So great stuff. We always like more reporting stuff. Taxes. So taxes with the core accounting works flawlessly. Taxes with projects, construction projects, it can be a little finicky, right? They came out with a new tax module. They wanted people to start using that tax module. And that's kind of what, some people are using and finding it's not working with the projects as well at the entity level, things like that. If you're a single entity, don't worry about it. And so we are still implementing some people in what we call the older methodology, where it's more of a manual install. And what we call that is advanced taxes, right? So most of you are probably on the advanced taxes configuration. And so now it's just saying that you can override tax schedules and order entry and purchasing. Okay. And that's for people that might be using standard or custom tax solutions. This includes the advanced taxes. That's what we typically name it here as a standard here at Ethos for your interface. And then you can override those tax schedules at the line level in transactions, and that gives you better control over tax calculations, right? We know that you guys all are unique with your taxes, in different ways, different jurisdictions on how you're using those, but it's going to give you the simplified tax determination That way, making your streamline your taxes and transactions by making unused standard tax schedule maps inactive and improved customization. Okay. Subcontractor payment application workflow early adopter on the purchasing transaction definitions, right? So what am I talking about? If you don't know what a transaction definition is yet, you will, because this is something that is your customized workflow. So in purchasing, when you go to purchasing an all tab and you go down to where it says purchase order, purchasing invoice, change order, commitment, subcontractor, sub invoice, those things that flow through purchasing into AP, they're a vendor invoice, right? And they become an AP bill on the project. That's what we're talking about. You can go into, like, let's say in this case, it's the purchasing invoice and turn on this payment application workflow. All of this stuff, again, is still early adopter. I just started testing this in my environment this week. But you're going to enable the payment application workflow on the TD, the transaction definition used to enable the payment application workflow. The setting is available only if you select invoice template. Okay, so it changes with that. On this invoice template, it'll say, do you want an application document or do you want an invoice document, right? So the idea is that you can use those AIA formats and whatnot. But application, valuation, or invoice is how they are categorizing that. Retainage, as I mentioned, retainage is getting better and better all the time in Sage Intacct. They're really trying to make it very flawless for us. We're going to be able to start doing these on the line, which is so great. You probably noticed some of this stuff in the interface already. Define and assign automated retainage withholding rules on primary documents with this new advanced retainage feature. You're going to be able to streamline your retainage tracking. The track retainage holds in Sage Intacct to reduce manual tracking activities and improve accuracy. We always love things that are improving accuracy so we can sleep at night, right, guys? So that's one thing I do love about the automations, right? I can't encourage people enough to do automations, because once you do it right, you verify, yeah, this is working correctly, you never have to worry about it again, right? Until something updates or changes. But it really frees up a lot of space in your brain with setting up automations, knowing that they're going to just work on time and accurate. Provides flexible calculation methods. Most of you are going to be using, maybe more of an advanced multi-tiered or stepped, but it uses simple single rate or advanced multi-tiered or stepped retainage calculation methods on the same primary document. So pretty fantastical, if you ask me. Refine rules before posting, update retainage rules and preview calculations for accuracy before posting that invoice. So again, another one of those things that gives us that warm and fuzzy feeling every day before we actually have to go in and post things. So on the for automated retainage holding on primary documents, there's a configuration in AP. You'll notice this enable AP retainage, enable advanced retainage options, checkboxes are out there. And then on the transaction definition itself, okay, you probably have noticed these if you're playing around with your transaction definitions recently. So you must have retainage enabled for the setting to show. Some of you might be like, well, I'm not using retainage, but I can't find it in the system. There is some permissions and things to turn on. So again, just reach out to us. We're always super happy to do that. And also, guys, sometimes I work with some of you guys calling for just a support case and you guys haven't talked to us in a year or two because everything's been fine. Don't forget, there's been a lot of enhancements since then. There's probably been new reports come out. If you're not using dashboards, all those things are things that you can request assistance through support for, and we're happy to spend some time with you. We can do a 30-minute meeting, an hour meeting, and just show it all to you. Make sure that things are, that you're taking advantage of all the things that you're paying for, right? Remember, We'll never hear legacy system ever again because everything is updated continually through the interface. Automated retainage holding on primary docs. When you enable your advanced retainage, primary documents show 2 new sections where you specify a retainage method and calculation rules. Okay, so kind of mark these things off for you. So these are new areas that you're going to see in your subcontracts and things. So select a retainage method, whether that's simple or advanced. For simple calculations, set a retainage percentage. For advanced, select the calculation method, retained amount invoice, or percent of contract. Okay, so you have options. If you select simple as the retainage method, advanced retainage options do not display. Okay, so that's one of those little things that can trip you up. And retainage steps for advanced retainage, use this section to define the calculation steps, and then you can configure one step with a single rate or multiple steps across rows. Good stuff, right? So we know that is a big deal to many of you. Okay, we added a retainage method column to the entries grid. That's been out there for a little while. You guys have probably noticed that. These entry grids, right? We can do, if you go to the upper right-hand corner and you go to more options, you can edit the entries layout. So you remember, we can customize all of these layouts. If you don't remember how, we can show you how again on that, because it's really nice to have things set up the way that you want them set up. So you can include both advanced and simple lines on the same primary document or invoice. On invoices, you can select the new preview advanced retainage right here. Button to review advanced retainage calculations before posting, which is really nice. Side note, after posting an invoice, you can select more options, view advanced retainage calculation log. Isn't that nice, right? So now we can get in there to open the new audit log, which details advanced retainage calculations per line. So if you're thinking this doesn't look right, or you just need to verify that it is right, you now have that option. Okay, on the project record itself, you can track physical address of the job site in the warehouse. Remember, we were always having you to use the ship to or the bill to fields, right? Trying to do workarounds with those to get to the job site. Well, now we actually have a legitimate field available to us, which is great. I really promote to my clients using these contacts and things like that, and all these additional project fields in there, because then, you know, things look nice on reporting tracking as well. Let's see. So enhanced project contract billing workflow, early adopter, bill project expenses with greater flexibility across periods and invoices using the enhanced project contract billing workflow. I'm so excited about this, guys, right? Anything to make billing better and easier, right? You know, it's been great, but it is a little bit clunky with that display view and things like that. But at the end of the day, once you get used to it, it's pretty streamlined, and it does retain a lot of settings. But now you can expand what you can bill, include expenses not originally marked as billable or linked to the project's customer. Reduce rework. Update project billable expenses from closed periods without deleting and recreating invoices. That's always nice. Save progress, save invoices in progress and return to complete them when you're ready. That's pretty good. And then support multi-currency projects. We don't have a lot of you out there on multi-currency. I know there's 1 or 2 of you. So, but yeah. Being able just to save your invoices in progress is nice, because before we had to go back and restart, right, from the beginning. Enhanced project contract billing workflow, early adopter. There's permissions, guys, in your, I think there's some order entry permissions I found, and project permissions. So you have to turn on those permissions to be able to see this in your interface now. So we added the project contract invoicing section with the following options: manage project billables, select project expenses for billing, then review and update project billables prior to creating the invoice. Project contract invoices, add billable expenses to a project contract invoice, and then save the invoice as a draft to finish it later or post it. Yay, we love that, right? Sometimes we get interrupted or we just, whatever's going on. We're busy people. So it's kind of nice to be able to come back to things. How it works. Okay. Once everything's turned on, you're going to be able to go in and select your project expenses to bill. You're going to notice the select to bill, and then you'll be able to select your projects. Update the project contract and project contract line, place billing holds, and exclude expenses from billing using the buttons at the top of the grid you're going to see now. Okay, so you're in your project billables. This is that new view, guys. So don't say, oh, I don't know where this is. Yeah, of course, because this is new. And you have your assign, your billing, your remove from billable expenses. During invoicing, you can add or remove billable expenses and update progress bill and T&M lines. Okay, so there is a new thing out there too with your T&M lines. If I have enough time here, and it looks like I will, I'm going to show you something cool on that that they're giving us on the as far as making that a little bit easier with time and material setup. Before, we used to have to go through the system, set up rate tables, cost rates, and all of that in different sections of Sage Intacct. Now they put all of that capability right there in the project contract line. So if you select a time and material line, you're going to be able to say select all the T&M settings with the set up a rate table on the fly, everything. So I love that feature as well too. Then you can draft or post. This little feature too, summarize T&M lines, that's really nice, or progress bill, right? We've got these 3 tabs. Things to know. There's always the little things to know, right, guys? So, side notes. Users with the appropriate permissions can continue to build project contracts through Generate Invoice. Some of you probably have adopted that and you like using that feature. Okay. You can still do that. The new project contract invoicing feature does provide greater flexibility for billing project contract expenses. And guys, when they give us these little features and things like that, that's a good hint that eventually someday we're going to move to that. But like I said, with the enhanced view, that's been out there for a few years now, right? It's not going to happen overnight. But eventually you want to set aside some time to acclimate yourself to some of these new enhancements. If you include an expense in a project invoice created through Generate Invoice, you cannot include that expense in the project contract billing workflow. Well, that makes sense, right? That's good. That's a guardrail. We want that. We don't want to accidentally do it twice, right? So this is your little control. And currently, you cannot bill inventory items using the new project contract billing workflow. So for those of you that are using inventory, we all know inventory could be very complex. It can be very simple, but it can be very complex, right? And many of you are using inventory. So inventory users, they're still working on it. The intention is to make this all work with inventory, but I think, they like to get the first release out, kind of get everybody acclimated to it at that first level, and then bring in the complexity of inventory. So those of you that are inventory people, keep your eyes out for that early adopter stuff, because we really do need people testing for us out there. So you'll just continue to bill through Generate Invoice like you always have. Work in progress. We always like anything that makes WIP better, right? So before I get started on this one, I want to throw something out there. We had a few people call into Ethos support yesterday, or email us as it is now, and they were having problems with WIP because they thought the over-under billings weren't calculating. but what they did was they enhanced this interface. So now you have to go in, and for the view, you have to add the manage view here and add the view. So if you guys are using WIP and you're like, what did this enhancement do? It broke WIP. No, it's not broken. It's still calculating correctly. It just looks different. Go into manage view, add your columns that you need for the over under billing columns, and they'll pop. Okay. So no worries on that. And if you need help, we're happy to help you with that. This is that same manage view on all list views I was referring to earlier. Take advantage of this, guys. It's really helpful. And all of it, has drill down too. But view history of cost forecast details in WIP management. If you break down project costs by cost code, tasks, right? Cost code and cost types, you can view history at the project level and at the level of detail you use, right? Before we were kind of stuck in that one level view. WIP project history, you're going to show that history at the project level. This page is the same as the WIP history page that's been available previously. Okay, so if you go into projects, you'll notice your WIP management area. And well, we used to call it WIP management. I think we're calling it something newer now, but you'll see that WIP history option right there underneath that option. So in your menu, both of the history pages show information from all WIP schedules for your entity, so you can see historical trends for projects and create customized sets of data for analysis. And yes, you can export WIP schedule information from both pages. So this one, I think it's up here on this dot, always upper right-hand corner. Remember before we couldn't export, it was like, why not? We could do it with all the other list views, but they really are listening to our customers' request on this stuff. So at top level, the history pages show WIP schedules for all entities. Okay, let me go ahead. Since we have a few minutes left, I will go ahead and jump into the system and show you some of these cool little features that have came out. Go ahead and put this one over here. Okay, so with the interface, let's start with that. You'll notice it's interesting that this one doesn't have the 4 squares up here. My other demo does. So let me see if this one does here. Maybe pop back to the top level and see if it's going to pop. That's interesting. Well, those 4 little dots over here, I did have those on this interface. I don't know what happened to it, but you saw it on the slide. So if you have multiple applications and things like that, right, of course, you will see that in the upper left-hand corner. Sage Copilot, right? If we turn this on, but remember, you can turn it on in subscription and everything, but you still need to have an Amazon Web Services license to make this work. So I don't have the ability to show you the demo on that. I did that in my slide deck. I do have that link. And so I just wanted to kind of show that to you if we have time last. Okay, projects. Remember what I said is that you need to go into have your system administrator go in to order entry and to projects permissions on the role that you're using and add the permissions for this, and this will pop up and you can start using it. So you'll notice here, right, these transaction definitions used to all be through here, right? So but now we don't have to worry about that because people are like, I'm not using order entry. We know that was just part of the configuration of how the system worked. Well, now we can just access it here, which is so fantastic. Okay, and you still have your generate invoice there as well. Okay, let's see. With the next thing, so let's go ahead. Why don't we just take a quick look at that? permission, right? So if we come in, we go to subscriptions, right? You're going to then see the finance intelligent permissions in here as well. Anybody with Sage Intacct Real Estate, I do encourage you to go out there and take a look at the enhancements that are available for that. So let me show you where you can do that. If you go to your home button, upper left-hand corner, if you have not changed this homepage from when you log into Sage Intacct, which you can have dashboards load, you can customize this interface completely. You can just simply go here for the release notes, and then it has everything broke down. But you can see why we like to do a webinar, so we kind of condense it for you, okay? But for anybody that wants to do a deeper dive into some of the fixed asset stuff or into the real estate things, definitely come in here and take a look. What I like too is a lot of times they have a highlight video. So if you're one of those people who are like, I don't want to read through 10 pages of things, you can just simply come in here and watch the videos as well. And then industry solutions are out there. So anybody who's using any of these options, right? Updates for Sage Intacct Real Estate, just click on it and it's going to tell you things that have been enhanced and improved. Okay. So that is everything we have for you today. Again, if you want to reach out through support, you have any questions, please do that. I do have a couple minutes left here, so if anybody wants to pop a question in the chat, I'll hang out for a few minutes. And if not, thanks for attending, and I hope you guys have a great day. This is our Intacct support email now, and for other additional events and webinars that are free to our customers, please just go out to our website. Thank you so much, guys. Have a great day.